Okay, this is going to be a video on doing the preliminary steps of a front view portrait. So I'm going to start with the basic shape of the head, which we're going to draw like an oval or like an egg with the pointy part of the egg going down. You might be wondering, how large should you draw this? So to answer that question, if this is your sketchbook page, you want to draw it about this size. Maybe as big as this, but no larger than that. So somewhere in there. So that would be fine. And that would be fine. But no larger and no smaller. All right, once you've got your egg shape, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start to add the neck and the shoulders. So we've got two lines straight down as the neck. Make sure you don't put these too close together. A lot of times people want to put their neck more like this, but that's going to be too small. Now I'm going to go ahead and make slightly angled lines like this for the beginning part of the shoulder. That's where the neck attaches to the flatter part of the shoulder. And then pretty much straight across or just angling slightly down. And we can give this more of a curve later. We can also change the width of the neck later. So nothing we're doing right now is necessarily set in stone, but we're going to set up the basic proportions. So we're actually drawing something like this. Now, at the same time that you are doing this, you also want to be looking at an actual person. So you could have a photo of yourself, or you could have a mirror out. So right now, since you can only see what's on my screen, I've got these two photos here to stand in for a male head or a female head. But for now, in this first step, what we're going to be drawing is going to really just look like this anyway. All right, so the next step that we want to do is put a line of symmetry down the center of our head. So splitting it in half right down the middle. Then I want to draw another line splitting the head in half. So I'm going to estimate where that would be, and then I can take my fingers and I can measure, and right now that's only going up to here. So I'm going to say, okay, this is actually too short, so I'm going to try again. And once I'm able to measure that and see that I've gotten it in the right place, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to extend that as a line going halfway across. All right, now I'm going to divide the bottom half of the face in half again. So I'm going to look at this section and I'm going to try to guess about where halfway is. And I can use a ruler or I can use my fingers to kind of measure. And I'm going to say, okay, that's a little bit not quite on. I'm going to try that again. Now, one thing I will say, what we did up here, this is going to be the eye line. Now, I know that most of you are going to think that the eyes should go up here instead, but really halfway up is really closer to being accurate. And if you try to make it higher, it tends to end up looking odd in your drawing. Now the nose, on the other hand, to simplify things, I like to say that we divide this bottom section in half, but that said, some people's noses might be a little bit shorter, so this original line might work well as well. So, but you don't want to make it the nose too long. So it's better to have this a little bit shorter up here than have this be too short down here. So maybe I'll just split the two, split the difference and put it right in the middle. but better have this area too short than this area too short. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to divide this bottom section in half again. And once I think I have that correct, I'm going to take it all the way across the face. So we had 1/2, then we had 1/4, so that part is 1/4, and then we have 1/8. And this is going to help us, the 1/2 way line is going to help us with the eye line. This is going to help us with where to place the bottom of the nose, and this is going to help us place the mouth. So now we're going to start to lay in the some of the features. We're going to start with the eyes. Now going across the head here, we would have room for 5 eyes. So we've got the real eyes, we've got about that same measurement in the center, and then about the same measurement on each side of the actual eyes. So I'm going to estimate about how big I think those eyes might be. And then I'm going to say, okay, is there room for one more in the center? All right, that's looking a little better. And now one more on either side. So we've got our 5 eyes. Now we're going to go keep going and do the nose. So for the basic nose shape, we've got 2 parts of the nose. We've got the bridge of the nose. So if you put your fingers on your nose, that's going to be the long skinny part that starts right between your eyes, and then connects to the bottom of the nose, which is the ball of the nose and the nostrils. So I'm going to start with this long skinny part, something like that, just a skinny oval, and then I'm going to do a round ball at the end. Make sure that you don't try to make this round ball too small. You can have it overlap this part, it doesn't really matter. Now I'm going to draw a line straight down from the corner of the eyes, and that's how wide the bottom of the nose is going to be. So I'm going to add the nostrils, 1 to each side. They're going to overlap with the center of the nose. And notice I didn't put them right in line with the bottom of the nose. Oftentimes they're a little bit higher than the very bottom of the nose. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start laying in the lips. So I'm going to, basically this line right here is going to run through the center of the mouth. So I'm going to put an oval here and an oval here. So this is going to signify the top lip and the bottom lip. And then I'm going to draw a line from the center of the eye straight down. And now I'm drawing kind of a triangle that connects these 2 ovals, these 2 skinny ovals, to that line straight down. So this whole section here is going to be the mouth, and the width of the mouth is going to be about the same as that space between the eyes. So that very corner would be right where this line would be, and something like that. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw a little oval down here at the bottom underneath that lip for the chin. I could make it kind of circular if the chin feels more circular, or I can make it a little bit wider if I think my chin is a little bit wider, and we can adjust that later. Okay, now I have a few more features to add. I'm going to put in a brow line. So this is going to just be a little bit above the eye line. I don't have an exact measurement for that, but if you look at where the eye line would be on this gentleman, this eyebrow line would be right through here. And then with her, it would be right through here. Okay. And I'm also going to add in the ears. The ears tend to fall between this eye line and the nose line, or maybe the brow line and the nose line. So somewhere in there. So you see his actually go up to his brow line. We can't see hers. But you can see the bottom of her ear, and that's right around the nose line. And notice too that these are actually going to angle. And actually, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to go back a second, and I'm going to make the shape of the face a little bit more distinct before I do this. And one thing that you might find here is that this part of the head might be a little bit wide. So if you are finding that that looks a little bit off, you could bring that in just a little bit more. And we're actually going to make a line that's going to go from the side of the head down to here. Now, if yours is not too wide, don't worry about bringing it in, but it might be. Sometimes this part looks a little bit too wide. And we're actually going to go from the side of the head to this line, and that's going to imitate the side of the head down to here, this jaw. So see how that angle of where the jaw turns lines up with the center of the mouth, and that's because the jaw is where your mouth opens and closes. That's what the jaw does. It's a hinge, so it runs right through the center of the two lips. So I'm going to go ahead, just pick a side, and I can look at the face that I want to draw, and I can decide how much would this angle. So for some people it might be almost almost vertical. For this woman, it's a lot more angled. For this man, it isn't vertical, but it's not maybe as angled as it is for this woman. So that just depends on the person you're drawing and their face shape. So, but I'm going to go ahead and do something like that and something like that. All right, so I can actually erase a little bit over here, and I'm going to reconnect that side of the head to up here. All right, and down here, I can go ahead and do that. I'm also going to make this maybe a little bit more angular, like so. Now, I'm not going to erase this. I'm actually going to leave the curving part, but I'm also going to have this part off to each side. Now notice what just happened. My neck was actually a little bit too wide because my head just got a little bit slimmer when I did that. So I can move my neck in just a little bit, but notice I'm not moving it in too much. It's got to be just skinnier than the jaw. If you move it in too much, it's going to look strange. So I put in this angle here for my jaw, and I am making the neck just a little bit skinnier than the jaw. So, and I can keep this kind of angle in there. And you can smooth that out a little bit. Eventually that will curve a little bit, but you want to start with that angle. Okay, now chances are your shoulders are going to go all the way to the edges of the page like this. If they don't, however, if yours is a little bit smaller, this is how you can determine where these are going to end. So the shoulders would fit 3 heads. So one head would be straight down like that. That's the width of the head. And then I would measure that, and I would put another one off to this side and another one off to this side. Now, if I just have them go straight over, they're going to look like robot shoulders. So if this fits on my page at all, I'm going to curve it as it goes there. So this is pretty straight or just slightly angled, and then I'm going to curve it like so. All right, now chances are that your sketchbook page ended over here. So if your sketchbook page ended over here, don't try to cram in your shoulder like that. That's just going to look silly. So let it go right off the page if your page is smaller than the width of the shoulders. Okay, and I never did put in those ears. Now I can put in those ears. So now that I've made, I've fixed kind of the overall shape of my head, now I'm going to put my ear in, and notice this is just another skinny oval, and it's at the angle that matches the side of the head. All right, so at this point, I just have a few more things to add to make our robot drawing look like this robot drawing. And those are these lines here. So I'm going to start at the eye line, and right where the eye line meets the side of the head, and I'm going to angle it down to the outside of the chin here, and see how it passes right through or right next to that corner of the lips. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. All right, now this doesn't look like a human being yet. This looks like a robot, but we're going for this. This is going to be the underdrawing of our actual human, who eventually will look something more like this. All right, so one thing we still have to add, we have to add the eyebrows. So I'm going to now do the top part of the nose where the nose connects to the eyebrows. So right here where we've got this oval going right through this eye line, I'm going to, on either side of that, I'm going to just draw an angle up to this brow line. And then we're going to be adding the brows on here. On my example, they're kind of straight, and then I've got another one angling to the side. On this guy, they angle up. So either way you want to do it is fine. It can angle up and then angle down, or it could kind of angle straight across and then down. We're going to fill that out later. Since I made them different, now it looks like he's kind of putting one eyebrow up. All right, and that is our basic underdrawing. Okay, so we're going to be erasing a good deal of this in the next step, but this is going to help make sure that our proportions are right before we start adding details.